The Entrepreneurial Journey podcast. We're talking business and building a culture that's kick-ass. Where we make it happen, grab your seat, let's have a blast. At the Entrepreneurial Journey podcast.
If you love the entrepreneurial journey, how about subscribing and giving us a 5-star review? Wherever you get your podcasts, follow or subscribe and give us a positive review so more entrepreneurs out there don't need to feel alone. Thanks. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey podcast. Today I have Helen Munshi with me. Hello, Helen. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you doing?
Good, really well. So Helen of helenmunshi.com, and we met 5 years ago, 4
Was
years
a while
ago.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And you were Pinterest queen then.
Yes.
Tell me what you're doing now, and then we can talk about the evolution of your business.
Yeah. So it does seem sort of slightly, sorry, my cat was shouting in the background. It does seem slightly different, but there's actually kind of a trajectory that's got me to my point now. So at the moment I'm doing quiz funnels. So I'm helping online businesses to generate not just any old leads, but leads that are actually really engaged and invested in what you're doing, so that they are ready for your next launch. So that's what I do, helping people to really bring personalization to marketing. So that's massive trend for 2024, has been for a few years, to be fair. So yeah, that's essentially what I do.
Great. Yeah, I have noticed I keep being approached by people who go, can we do a questionnaire, a quiz for you?
Yeah.
And then we've got the whole Daniel Priestley score app, and we've got loads of things. So it does seem to be a trend. So how did you, well, for our listeners and viewers, how did you do the Pinterest marketing thing? And then how have you ended up where you are now? What path did you take?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started actually in strategy. So I'm trained in business strategy, sort of back in the day at Accenture. So sort of quite focused on, business kind of corporate strategy, which I love. It very much appeals to my kind of logical side. But I wanted to take that and I wanted to work in the charity sector. So I actually went and worked for the Prince's, I think is now the King's Trust, but at the time was the Prince's Trust,
Right.
Working with disadvantaged young people to start businesses. And it was just such a perfect combination of kind of the strategy, but also then like the energy and the creativity of new business, which I fell in love with. You know, people were just so driven and excited. And yeah, so I did what I probably would have told them not to do, which was I basically left my job without the plan.
Right.
They always say builders have the worst houses. The strategist did not have a business plan, but I left knowing that I really wanted to start working for myself. So I went into like business coaching, business strategy, working directly with small businesses. And that's essentially what I've done for the last, gosh, I don't know now, probably about 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a while when I was employed, and then obviously for myself. And it's taken slightly different guises. So I went and did sort of a couple of years working in Pinterest, which I know is how we met.
Yeah.
And then I moved into the quizzes and the quiz funnels. But the underlying theme for me, which I still work on, is always about solid business strategy, making sure we're crafting a really intentional customer journey through your business. I think it's very easy to kind of, not always easy, but it's people, you know, they put different offers up and they, you know, they build this thing and then they build this thing, and it just starts to take on a life of its own, slightly kind of Frankenstein-esque. And there's no logical, smooth, supported, personalized path through your business because you've just kind of bolted bits on, which is natural. So for me, I've always wanted to work at crafting that process, so that then it's a business that works better for you, but then also for your customers, which in turn leads to, you know, growth.
Yeah. So you've just described exactly what we've done as a business. Like, oh, okay. Hang on. I'm just going to put my light on. I forgot to put that on. Oh, that's better. You can see me.
Yeah.
Yeah. The it's really tempting to build something, put an offer out there, and then go, okay, right, everybody gets it.
Mhm.
And I think the message to people out there in small businesses is that whilst you understand what you're doing, your audience probably doesn't.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's our biggest learning, definitely. And when your audience doesn't understand it, selling it is so much harder
Yeah.
because you don't want your audience to have to think about what it is they're buying. They just need to know what it is they're buying instinctively.
Yeah.
That's taken me nearly 5 years to learn that, Helen.
But I think also like even sometimes they understand it, but they don't connect with it. That's the other thing as
Yes.
well. So
Yeah.
they can like logically understand things, but I know from like myself, but also from working with business, people don't buy with logic, people buy with emotion.
Yeah.
And I think it's so easy as a business owner to get stuck in the logic and not connect on the emotion.
Yeah, it really is, because part of the equation is you do have to look at data at some point, without a shadow of a doubt. But
Yeah.
you have to, you're right, start with the emotion and then the data is the output.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, so what kind of journey would a typical client of yours go on with you? Where do you begin?
In terms of like crafting a quiz.
Mm,
Yeah, I mean, we almost start without even talking about quizzes, which seems
okay.
slightly counterintuitive, but we start with, as you can imagine with me, solid business strategy. So we start on a call where I will just immerse myself in their business. We'll understand the different facets, what they're selling, who their customers are. We'll understand what it is that we actually want the quiz to achieve, but then also how we want your audience to feel as they go through that quiz, because a quiz is so interactive and so personal. It has that ability to build the emotional connection if done right. So we want to understand, do we want them to feel supported? Do we want them to feel called out? Do we want them to feel inspired, spurred on? What is that feeling? So we'll look at that, and then we actually start to build it backwards. So as with any kind of funnel, I mean, that sounds a little robotic, but like it is a funnel, it's a customer journey, whatever you want to call it. You want to make sure you're taking them to the end result that you want them to do, that call to action. So we start with that. What is it you want them to do as a result of going through the quiz? And then we build it backwards, basically. So we come up with our topic, but then we build out the results categories. Then we move to the next point before that, which is going to be, your questions, your answers, and then kind of go from there. And that makes sure kind of going through that process backwards makes sure that actually it does run smoothly. It does get the end result that you're aiming for.
Right. And do you mainly work with course creators, or what sort of business do you work with?
Do you know what? All sorts actually.
Right.
Actually work across the board brilliantly for products businesses, because you can provide a personalized shopping experience at the end, which people love. So you can do it with products businesses. I've worked with coaches, consultants, but then also, financial advisors, dietitians, fertility experts, gosh, like all sorts, gluten-free people, it does work if done right for any kind of niche, actually.
Right. That's really interesting. And where do most people sort of position their quizzes on? Is it Instagram, Twitter? Where do they go?
I mean, you can use it across the board. It essentially becomes an asset in your business. And I've got a list of about 30 different ways in my quiz program that you can actually promote it. So you can say it at the end of a podcast, you can, put it on your website, you can put it in pop-ups, you can do ads to it. The ads are incredibly cheap. It's ridiculous. Like I've got a current client who's on about 30 cents a lead. I've run them and I'm getting, 50p a lead kind of thing, which is just like really good for ads.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah, you can put it on your socials, your stories. I've just released many chat automation for people to actually do your quiz directly in their Instagram DMs. You could do it through WhatsApp, So essentially, whatever platform you normally use, you can promote your quiz.
Right. Wow. That's quite a powerful tool.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a bigger time investment than like a classic PDF or something like that. So it does take a little bit more energy to create it, but once it's created, it's a really strong asset in your business.
And what kind of results have you seen for those business owners?
Yeah, so it's the two kind of main areas you get results. I mean, there's lots of different reasons why quizzes work so well, but it's firstly, people just love learning about themselves. You know, it's
Right.
just kind of human nature. It's kind of how we're built. So the people actually really love taking it. They love giving you information about themselves, and in an age of, you know, all the changes to, you know, third-party information and like all this kind of stuff, people are a lot more protective of their information and their data, and it's also a lot harder just to kind of naturally come across it on, you know, all the different platforms. But in this situation, they're actually giving you information about themselves, which allows you to then personalize their interaction with you, which is just so much more powerful. So instead of sort of scattergun doing a launch, same message to everybody, if you have an audience and you know that a quarter of your audience are really concerned about, if we look at your business, they're really concerned about, for example, you know, whether they'll actually complete the program. You know, they have a history of maybe not following through on it. Then actually you can target your messaging to that. You can target the testimonials to people who are also worried about that, but actually that didn't come true when they worked with you. Or if you've then got another section of people who are purely cost driven, like purely price driven, let's talk about the value and why this is such a good investment and how you can then make that money back, you know, using the techniques in their business. Or if you've got a subsection that are really concerned about time, you know, so you can target whatever it is that they're concerned about, even if you're selling the same product at the end of it, you just sell it in different ways, which is hugely powerful. So that's one way they work brilliant. And then it's also just, it's a volume game. You know, you're doing in an automated way, you're getting a lot more leads. You know, I've had people who launch their list and in 2 hours they've got, you know, 150 new leads just because they've put a quiz out there, and people just love taking quizzes basically.
Wow. That's fabulous. Okay. And have you seen it's led to additional sales? Because that's a $64 million question, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So generally quiz leads are more engaged because it's sort of a, you know, our attention spans are so small nowadays. I don't know what it's currently sitting at, probably about 4 seconds or something. I don't know quite. But they, as they go through the quiz, they're getting more and more invested. They're answering more and more questions, and they're kind of making those micro commitments to you and your business. So at the point when they give their email address, they've been through 10 questions, they're invested to get the answer, and they're actually so much more invested in you as a business. So yeah, generally they're more engaged leads, and they're more excited to hear from you because they've already had a good experience of interacting with you already.
Right. And do you need fancy software like Score App, or can you just get started, I don't know, like you say, through WhatsApp?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of different ways you can do it. I use a platform called Interact, which is better, slightly cheaper than so you can do Score App, you can do Interact. There are plugins for your website, depending on your website, or you can just do it directly in, you know, through ManyChat, in, you know, DMs and WhatsApp and stuff as well. So there's lots of different mechanisms. The thing I would say is you want to make sure that the experience of taking the quiz is a really good one for the person going through it. So sometimes it is definitely worth investing a small amount in a bit of software that's really the customer experience and the user experience is really like top notch.
Okay. Oh, that's good advice. All right. And what have you used this method for your business? Sounds like a daft question, but a lot of people selling this stuff don't use it for their own business. And what results have you seen personally?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I do. Yeah, I definitely. I practice what I preach for sure.
Good.
So I've actually just finished writing a new quiz. But yeah, I've used it in my business for I think about 3 years now, 2.5, 3. And yeah, definitely. I mean, I've seen it work so well in terms of just the volume of leads coming in, and then on the other end of it, the conversion. And I've actually got it as a sort of starting point for a larger kind of sales funnel that I have now as well. So it can interact really well with the different elements in your business.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And as a small business owner, because a lot of what you've described there are solopreneurs, or they've got a small team with freelancers and things like that. What kind of investment are they looking at to work with you?
Yeah, so you need the software, which is,
Mm.
I mean, you don't have to, but generally I'd recommend the software, which I think is about $30 a month, probably.
That's
Uh,
loads cheaper than Score App. What's it called again?
yeah, it's called Interact. I think if you go onto
Interact.
my website and just put in my web address /Interact, I think that
Right.
will take you there. Um,
I'm writing that down.
yeah. So that's a really good one. And then if you want to work with me to actually create your quiz, it starts at about
Okay.
$1,250, I think $1,250. And I've got different level packages, but I also run the Quiz Academy, which is not a
Ah,
DIY, it's like a done with you. So it's
okay.
6 months of coaching, support, and a course to take you through the whole process.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
That could well be very useful for
Yeah,
us.
and that starts at $397. So it's
Right.
obviously a lot more accessible, but you still get I mean, I just love working in businesses, so I'm
Yeah.
always I'm always there and supporting and kind of helping you come up with ideas and reading through the content you've created and stuff and feeding back.
No, that is very doable, definitely. Okay. And then of course the skills are within the business and then you're off and away, aren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And we do cover more than just kind of quizzes. I couldn't quite sort of help myself. So we look a little bit at like the strategy and making sure we've got that customer journey set up really well to start with. And you get some of the many chat automations and full, banks of questions and all sorts in there as well.
Oh, that's brilliant. Great.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying it, Helen?
I am. I do. I
Right.
absolutely love it because it's such a good combination of creative and strategic, which I love. And I feel like there's this, I don't know whether you feel this as well, there's this myth out there that you have to sort of be camp automation, like you have to be either you're sort of fully automating your business, but that really removes your connection with your audience and that real
Hmm.
personal, or you're in the kind of connecting with people one-on-one, personalized in the DMs, and that leads to kind of burnout. And I don't feel like you have to be either of those.
No.
Me, you can easily have a foot in each camp, and that's
Yeah.
really what I talk about and what I really believe in. And it's also let's make marketing fun again. Let's strip back that kind of shouty just like shove it down your throat kind of thing. Let's make it something people want to take part in.
Yeah, I completely agree. I didn't realize you were supposed to be in one camp or another. And that's just
Yeah.
as well because I'm like you. It's like our model, yeah, you do the course, but then we're with you with twice a month with live sessions. And,
Yeah.
I do lots of ad hoc work with our coaches as they go through the process and afterwards as well when they're partners with
Yeah.
us. Um, and this NLP for business coaches that I'm just launching, I said to you, as a
Mhm.
pilot, I'm doing a live one on Zoom and I'm recording it so people will be able to buy the recordings and if they want, still come to the live one. So I think people want a blend, don't they? They
Yeah.
want to dip in and out of stuff online and then they actually want to meet you
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
get to know you.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that the more you can blend the two even
Hmm.
earlier in your funnel before they're even customers,
Yeah.
it will just give people an opportunity to really understand a bit more about who you are.
Yeah.
It's always going to lead to more interest, more engagement, and then eventually more sales as well.
Yeah, definitely. We have the podcast for that.
Yeah, which is a brilliant method.
Yeah, so people and Nick and I have started doing one together, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
So they really do get to know us as
Mm.
people, which will put some people off, but that's fine because we don't want everybody.
Yeah.
And are your clients all over the world?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
New Zealand, Australia,
Great,
Europe, US. Yeah.
great. Would you ever go back to corporate world?
Good question. The only reason I'd ever get tempted back into corporate would just be having people around me.
Right.
I like the hubbub of kind of people around me. But I would definitely struggle, I think, to be an employee now.
Mm.
I kind of struggled at the time as well, to be fair.
Did you?
Well, I tended to switch jobs quite frequently, not that frequently, but I love variety in what I do day to day. And I
Mm.
think sometimes it can be quite hard if you have a set role in a corporate organization. to get that freedom and that ability to stretch and flex and change
Yeah.
direction slightly as and when you need. So yeah, I like that about being self-employed.
And how do you get that interaction with other people? You know, because you do, I miss that too sometimes.
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
Yeah, so I have to be quite intentional about it because it is very easy to kind of,
Thanks for listening, everybody. Did you know at TriCrest we've built a kick-ass culture coach and consultant program? So if you're a business coach or consultant and you're looking for something new, add to your toolbox, or even escape the 9 to 5, join us at our next event. Links in the information on the podcast. See you there. Well, I got the publisher for my book from a Walking with Wisdom walk.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, just chatting to a woman who said, oh, I'm just putting in my book to the publisher, blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, I've just written one. Who is it? And she said, oh, I'll give you the details. Sent it off, sent the proposal off, away you go. I'm like, oh, okay.
Nice.
You know, yeah. So nice surprises. So way back, so Pinterest is still very much out there, but what kind of got you to go, I need to move away from this and do something different? Because it's still huge. People don't realize how big Pinterest is.
And I still use it. It's still one of the
Do
main
you?
ways that I market my business is still
Right.
through Pinterest, and actually quizzes play really well on Pinterest. But I think for me, the reason I kind of moved away from it wasn't so much that it wasn't working, it was more the work that I was doing wasn't kind of using my skill set really in terms of like what I love to do. It got quite we had quite a good client base. It was actually quite hard to walk away from. It's quite hard to say, actually, I'm making money doing something, but now I'm not going to do it anymore. But it was repetitive, which again we know doesn't quite suit my personality. And yeah, it just wasn't sort of something that I really enjoyed anymore. And I started doing a quiz for myself, and I realized that was a really good fit for me.
Are you using AI at all in writing the quizzes?
Yeah, I mean, I need to add that into my program, actually. I've got it on my list to add in AI prompts.
Okay.
And I think there's a place for it for sure, but it needs to be, there's been a kind of quite a surge in people just writing fully AI quizzes, like, here's my topic, write me a quiz kind of thing. But the trouble is, if it's not grounded in, and you know this, doing what you do as well, if it's not grounded in solid strategy and it doesn't link up with your business properly, you'll have a quiz, but it won't actually lead to any of the outcomes or the right kind of leads or anything like that. So there's definitely a place for it to be used to kind of spur some ideas or to help you with things that you then tweak, but you need to feed in the right, it's the same with everything with ChatGPT and stuff. You have to put in the right information, and unless you know that, you're not going to get the quality output that you need.
If you sound like a robot, you're going to get robots, basically. And
that kind of defeats the point of a quiz, which is that it's really personal and it shows your brand and your brand voice and who you are and so on.
Now, part of our Nick and Becca Fireside Chats is that I asked Nick a question that then I put to you. I told him I was interviewing you, and he went, I've only got one question. I went, what is it? He said, Munshi. Where does that surname come from? It is such an unusual surname. I went, can you not do better than that? He went, no, that's all I can think of.
That's what I want. Yeah, totally fair. It's courtesy of my husband, so he's Indian, so yeah, it's an Indian surname.
Right. Okay. It's probably really common in India.
Yeah, do you know, I should probably ask him. I'll take Nick's question. I don't know how common it is actually.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of have a English first name, Indian surname.
Ah, that's right. Okay. Now, your turn to ask him one, because it's only fair. So Nick's my older brother.
Yeah.
We're in business together. I don't know whether you've ever seen him, met him.
No, I don't think I have actually. I think no, I haven't.
Tall guy, usually wears glasses and loud shirts.
Okay.
Did a stint as a stand-up comedian, and now mainly trains lawyers in communication, networking, influence, persuasion, negotiation. That he's also a keynote speaker. So he opens the fridge door, the light comes on, and he does a 10-minute set. That is my brother. All right. So what question do you have for him, Helen?
Okay, so
I'm writing this down so I remember, by the way.
yeah, and then what, he answers it on the next
Yeah, he'll
podcast.
answer it.
Ah, very good. What one thing can people like running a small business learn from stand-up comics?
Ooh, I like that a lot. Who run
Because it does feel like business can just be way too serious. You know, we leave our corporate life to start a business because we love the kind of the energy of it and the creativity. We've got this idea, and sometimes it feels like if you're a few years in, that can kind of get squashed out of you a little bit. So
yeah.
is there a way to kind of, I guess, bring back the fun? And I'm
Yeah,
see if there's
I
something from
like that.
stand-up comedy that might help do that.
I like that a lot because, yeah, you're right. There are sometimes Nick and I get together and go, oh God, oh,
Yeah.
and then we have to remember to bring the fun back into it. And the way I did this a few months ago, I came back from a holiday in Spain in April and I went, right, I've decided to run my business with my holiday head on.
Nice, like it.
Yeah, so I decided to approach everything in the way that I approach everything on holiday, minus the sangria, I
I was
have
going to
to say.
say Aperol spritz in hand at like midday.
Yeah, can't do that because I'd get nothing done. Or I might get loads done, but it would be rubbish. Um, so that worked really, really well. And then I had the other thing I've decided to do is do more holidays.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. So came back the other week from Thailand and it took me a week to get back into work mode.
Mm.
Don't you find the better holiday you have, the harder it is to get back into work mode?
Yeah. I know I've had a good holiday when I kind of get there and my brain just leaves my head and I just can't even form a thought.
Totally.
I say that to my husband and he's like, well, that's what my head's like all the time. You know,
Oh,
when you
right.
ask when you ask someone else, like a guy, you say, what are you thinking about? And they're like, well, nothing. And I'm like, well, I don't understand how that works. Like
No, no.
but I think that's holiday head, isn't it? That's yeah.
Yeah. Where's my next cocktail coming from?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's it. Yeah. So trying to bring back the fun. Well, we are doing actually, because it's like, look, if you're running your own business and you're not enjoying it, you can't enjoy it 100% of the time.
Yeah.
You really can't. That's impossible. But around 70 to 80% of the time, the old Pareto's law, if roughly you're enjoying it that amount of time, then jobs are good as far
Yeah.
as I'm concerned.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it can get a bit kind of bogged down in the kind of the everyday and the this and the learning something new all the time. And I think it's easy to lose the fun unless you kind of intentionally do it.
Yeah. Where are you taking the business?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So I'm very aware that I need to I want to grow my quiz. I want to grow the quizzes for sure. So I want to
Okay.
get the quiz academy. I want to get a lot more people through that because I think it's just such a good way to become visible. And I think for me, the other thing that I'm really aware of in my own business is that I really need to put my voice out there more. I can
Mm.
have a tendency to I'm great at kind of the funnels and the tech and the quizzes and this and that, but actually at some point you also need to just put your voice out. And I don't know
Okay.
why I don't do it more because I love it. I love podcasts. I love all that kind of stuff. So I think for me that's the real next thing is for me to be putting out more yeah, opportunities for people to connect with me through my voice and my face.
Yeah, that personal brand thing's really big as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
people do want to see who you are and what you're about,
Mm,
definitely.
yeah.
Okay, good. And what drives you? What's your dharma, as the Hindus would say, or your purpose? What's that in your psyche, in Helen's psyche?
Yeah. So kind of why do I do what I do?
Yeah.
There's two sides of it. So like for me personally, um, we really want to be able to get good amount of recurring income so that we can then start working away from the UK. So we want to be able to travel. We want to be able to go live
Okay.
in India for a few months. You know, go and
Nice.
pitch up to a hill station and live there for a bit. Um,
Wow.
So, you know, we don't have kids, we've got that freedom to be
Great.
able to do that. So that's sort of on the personal plan for sure.
Great.
In terms of what drives me to do the actual work that I specifically do is about the big picture is that I feel there's a lot of power if we put more money in the hands of women, basically. If we have people who are financially independent, who are excited at what they do, and that has like a real ripple effect to their family, to their community, to whatever mission they're, you know, pursuing. So that kind of equality of access to finance, the autonomy of being able to earn your own money is really, really important to me.
Yeah, very important. There's loads of studies, aren't there, that if you give, I got a friend who runs a fantastic microfinance business called Wild Hearts in Action, and he's done loads of studies, and their microfinance could be like a tenner, literally £10, £50. The studies show that when you give that to women and women run their own businesses, the babies put on weight and are healthier and have better health outcomes. The children get sent to school, everybody gets fed, and it goes back into the community.
Yeah.
Sadly, the converse doesn't happen when you, and the loans, by the way, 98%, 99% get repaid. That does not happen when you give that to men, sadly. I don't know what the statistics are.
Yeah.
And there was another stat, because I'm a trustee for the Women's Fund for Scotland, and women will spend a vast majority of their income on the family and kids, like literally 80 odd percent, whereas guys, it's about 56%.
Yeah, and I think there's more charitable giving they've shown. It kind of gets put back into. Yeah, I sort of created a training course actually for Tier Fund working with finance loans, and the stats are just astounding. And I think it's, you know, when you look at also the kind of the wider, so when you look at kind of the bigger businesses as well, so kind of away from microfinance, but I think it's something like only 2% of all investment raised is actually goes into female founded businesses. But if you actually reverse that and made it equal, the additional income that you would add to like the US economy, I mean, it was in the billions and billions, you know, it's so there's good economic arguments for it, but there's also good social arguments. And it's, you know, it's just feels right as well, you know, it's equality.
Yeah, it is definitely equality of opportunity. Definitely. I think that's really important. Okay, last question, Helen. And you are a marketeer, so this one should be easy.
Okay.
If your business had a personality or a character, either who would it be or how would you describe it?
Oh gosh, that's actually, I feel like, that is quite a hard question. I think they'd be that person that walks into like a party or a bar, and they're not quiet, but they're there, and they've got like good jokes, they've got enthusiasm, they've got like a good story for most things, and people just kind of naturally get attracted to that because they want to be around that energy. That's what I'm trying to create.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm there yet, but that's kind of what I'm going for. So not like the loudest person at the party, but just sort of naturally attract people.
Yeah, people are drawn to you, and they are definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, because you have a really great relaxed demeanor that immediately makes people feel safe and comfortable.
Oh, that's really sweet. Thank you.
Well, it's true. It's really true. And you're also very, very easy to talk to. I just delivered a session on effective communication, and you're a very good communicator, very clear, easy to follow. And people go, oh, yeah, okay, I get that. You know, the process you're describing, you make sound simple. I know isn't simple because we do lots of marketing, but I think probably the way you take people through it will be really good, because they'll be go, oh yeah, I get that bit. And then you'll show them the next bit. All right, I will get that bit. And then, yeah.
Little by little. Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. Appreciate that.
No, that's all right. And by the way, digital nomad visas, have you looked them up?
Yeah, so we were looking
Yeah.
at Portugal, but
Okay.
I think they've tightened the rules
Mm,
around Portugal
okay.
recently, because I think a lot of people started doing that. So we haven't kind
Yeah.
of looked at our next one yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember where it was. I was looking, it was like 30, I think it was an article, and it was 30 countries now do digital nomad visas, varying lengths, like 6 months to 18 months.
Yeah.
And I thought, this, if I didn't have kids and 2 dogs, I would just be off. I
Yeah.
would just go, because you can just go wherever you want. It's amazing now, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You know, if you can make your living online, which is what, you know, the vast majority of people that I work with want to do,
Yeah.
you've got that freedom.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Right. Well, I look forward to seeing your adventures in India.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Get busy and stay in the house all day.
Wonderful. Thank you so
but
much, Helen. I've really enjoyed that. And I'm
networking
going to
events,
talk
so
to
I
you
do
about
sort
that
of in-person
course
ones.
for a
And it's
member of our
not,
team
I guess, I mean, it
to
is
do that, to get
networking,
our
but it's not
quizzes up
sort
and
of
running.
you're very welcome. I've got like
Come
a
along and you
masterclass
can
they can
pitch
take
and
just
you've
to get a
got
feel
only
for
two of each business
what
there,
it is.
etc.,
It's
and
more of
whether
a
it's
kind
right
of
for them.
community of people who
Great.
just sort of
Amazing.
get
Right,
together.
look
So I do
after
those a couple
yourself.
of
Thanks,
times a
Helen.
month.
Bye.
I actually work at my local gym quite a lot,
All
just to
right.
kind of have the sort of people behind me.
Yeah.
My husband actually works from home Monday and Fridays as well, so it's only really
Right.
3 days that I'm
Right.
there by myself.
Yeah, we do similar things. So there's a lovely lady who organises Walking with Wisdom
Okay.
networking. So once a
Nice.
month there's a walk.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's really good. I take the dogs, so I kill two birds with one stone. The dogs are
Yeah.
walked and I get to chat to people. And you're absolutely right, because our client base, the bit we're growing, I still work with one-to-one with businesses, but the bit we're growing is the online stuff. So I'm not doing it to get people to sign up to the program because they're the wrong audience, but it's that community and getting to know people and stuff like that, which is really nice.
Yeah, I think it's so important that you sort of have to, really kind of carve out the time, because it's easy when you get to it going, oh, I'm busy, I could just, but actually I think it is, and it's a good way to kind of, when you hear yourself talking about what you do, you can kind of start changing up how you talk about it, and see how people respond as well. It's quite interesting.
Yeah.